Well, friends, I warned you that it was coming, and we saw this past week that the Africa CDC did declare an emergency related to the Mpox. Also, the WHO did declare a global health emergency, and now we're starting to see some of these cases start popping up around the world. This is getting out of Africa. We're now seeing cases popping up in Sweden, Pakistan, the United States. This thing is going global, and it is very different than the Mpox that we saw, or the monkeypox that we saw in 2022. People who try to equate the two separate things, two absolutely separate things. These are different families. These are different infections completely. But not only do we have to worry about the Mpox, but we also have to worry about the bird flu. And we also have COVID making another major resurgence here. I think we're allowed to use that word, so let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we're tracking the things out there the mainstream media is either brushing under the rug or just not talking about entirely. And one of those big things is what's going to happen next with this whole pandemic thing. I mean, once we get a pandemic classification, are we going to start seeing those emergency powers come back? We've already seen the state of Colorado exercising emergency powers, emergency executive powers, and starting to dictate things that we haven't seen since the cough cough. Is this going to go straight down the road to tyranny real fast? Quite possibly, and people have a right to be concerned. Now, there are several different concerns here. One is the actual medical getting sick, getting these diseases, okay? Then there is all the rules and restrictions and tyranny that comes with this, where the government say, well, we have all this power, why don't we use it? And then there's also going to be a third thing, which is going to be the repercussions of those rules. Things like food shortages, trade issues, things not moving the way they need to be, factories getting shut down. This could cause some serious problems. We already have a major problem out of China. You may have seen that cargo ship that exploded. That was right in one of the most busy ports of the port of Shanghai, and it has apparently tied up a lot of the cargo ships there. And that's causing a hiccup right now. We're talking about a very, very busy, very, very important port. The explosion was probably just an accident. No indication that it was anything other than that. But it is definitely messing up with the port over there. We got issues with the Houthis shooting at any ships that come by. That really impacts the number of people that are trying to use the Suez Canal. Because if you go through the Suez Canal, you're probably going to have to go through the Bab al-Mandab Strait right past Houthi-controlled Yemen. And even though they've supposedly given a free pass to China and to Russia, let's just say they don't seem to be very discriminate in what they shoot at. They seem to see something moving and they start shooting at it. We've seen Russian ships attacked. We've seen tankers loaded up with Russian oil attacked. We've seen just all sorts of crazy stuff. And then the Panama Canal is starting to get back up close to regular operations after being in drought for over a year, which has really seriously impacted how many ships have been able to get through the Panama Canal. It's causing problems out there. And this is even before we have any kind of shutdowns, any kind of trade barriers pop up, any kind of problems out there. So when we start seeing something spreading like the Mpox right now, and my thought is that the cough cough is not so serious. Okay, it's gotten very mild, and unless you have some real extenuating factors, if you're going to be in danger of the flu, well, then the cough cough should be a concern for you. Now, we are seeing positive spikes in COVID. They are doing more COVID testing, and they're finding a lot of people testing positive for COVID. Supposedly Biden had it the other week. And we're seeing a lot more COVID tests. We're seeing a lot more schools shut down. We're not seeing a corresponding spike in fatalities. We're not seeing a big spike in hospitalizations, but we are seeing a big spike in people testing positive, which makes me think that it is getting less severe, less dangerous as it goes along, which is good news. Good news. Now, it's still a nasty thing to get, and you don't want to get it. I mean, you probably want to get it less than you want to get the flu, right? I mean, the flu is here, and, COVID is here maybe. I don't know. But all that to say that that seems to be kind of getting managed. The bird flu issue, we're having issues there because all the cows are getting bird flu. Now, I don't know where the cows got it into their heads that they should get bird flu instead of getting something more akin to their species, such as hoof and mouth disease or, something along those lines. But they decided they want to be birds, and they're getting bird flu right and left. Well, now we're seeing that farmers are becoming very adverse to testing their cattle for bird flu. It's not killing the cattle, and there's repercussions when they test their cattle for bird flu and then they test positive. So farmers are just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to pay for a test that's going to cause problems. So they're not testing, and that's a little bit concerning. I mean, I'm all for it, but the simple fact is that is this getting into the meat? I know that they're testing at the slaughterhouses. I know that they're testing random retail beef on the store shelves. They're testing the milk to make sure that there is no bird flu getting through. So that seems to be relatively in hand because we are seeing people getting bird flu, farmers, ranchers getting bird flu, and it seems to be relatively mild. Pretty much everyone has gotten it that was healthy, seems to be getting nothing more than the cough and sniffles, and they're getting a test and they're like, oh, you have bird flu. And they're like, okay, so I'm just going to keep on working, right? And so it doesn't seem to be very severe. That was one of the major concerns, was if bird flu jumps to humans, given the mortality rate of bird flu in the past, skipping over to humans, that was a concern, that it could be very, very dangerous and deadly. But all the bird flu hops over to humans in the United States so far have been giant nothing burgers. So even if it does start spreading across the United States, we'd all get a cough and a sniffle. So it doesn't seem to be dangerous at this point. Now, if it mutates again, or if we start seeing something else come out, maybe that'll be different. But it seems to be not a big deal right now. We'll keep our eye on it. But Mpox is different. Now, there are three kinds of Mpox, right? There's two main strains. There's Clade 1, Clade 2. The last time Mpox went around the world was Clade 2. Clade 2 was being spread from man to man through special contact. And those were the only people getting it. And so that was just, they started poking everybody in the shoulder that fit those demographics, and that seemed to really kind of get it under control. It happened right before the Arrogance Month, what's it called? Pride Month. Anyway, right before that, and it was just spreading like wildfire because of people's activities and personal choices that we're not supposed to talk about, even though they have to shove that in our faces all the time, and we're not supposed to ever talk about or discuss or anything like that. Anyway, irresponsible behavior on the part of a bunch of people was spreading that all over the place. But as I said at the time, unless you're going to certain parlors and stuff, if you're not engaging in certain behaviors irresponsibly, this really isn't a concern for you. And that's what I said then, and I'm sticking to that. Clade 2 still seems to be being spread very similar ways as that. So that hasn't much changed. However, Clade 1 never left the Congo. But now Clade 1 has mutated to a Clade 1b. And this thing is a problem. It still has the relatively high mortality rate. Now, we're not talking about what we thought bird flu was going to have mortality rate, but let's just say clade 1b, Mpox, has a much higher mortality rate than what we've seen with the cough, with COVID and just other things, right? So we are talking about significant. So people who are at risk could perish from this and are perishing from this. It is also a nasty disease to get. Do you want to get chicken pox? Because this is basically like chicken pox for adults. And it's nasty and blisters and pus and not good stuff. Not good stuff. But the real trick here is how easily this is spreading. This is not just between special contact between men. This is now spreading male-female contact. It is spreading skin-to-skin contact, airborne contact, proximity contact, and airborne contact and proximity. So basically, we're talking about droplets, okay? So it's not truly airborne, but it is somewhat airborne. If you are in an enclosed space with somebody coughing, hacking, that kind of thing, and stuff is flying, you can get it. Also, you can get it from contaminated surfaces such as bedding, clothing, cooking utensils. Some would even say toilet seats. So when you start thinking of it along those lines, that's very different than you have to be engaging in male-to-male special contact. Okay? This is a lot more broad-based and it is spreading a lot faster. We now have a case in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden. We also have a case in Pakistan now. This has just happened in the last 24 hours. In Pakistan, that traveler came in from a Gulf country. We don't know which one yet. We don't know how it's tied back to Congo or what. Word is that this may be spreading more rapidly and faster than the authorities are able to see where this is going. And it is spreading from person to person relatively easily. So we're talking about something with something more along the lines of something maybe 2% mortality rate, or maybe in healthy countries, maybe 1%, which is still way, way higher than the cough. So with that considered and in mind, this thing is a major threat. And if it doesn't get contained. Now, we also allegedly have a case out in California. And I've also heard that we have a case in New York. I haven't been able to confirm that. Now, this is going to get really confusing because we still got Mpox clade 2 wandering around. Okay? People are still getting it, male to male, that kind of stuff, right? But what we're talking about is clade 1b. And this is a different thing. This is much easier spread, and also it has that high mortality rate. So should government authorities be concerned about this? Yeah. Should you and I be concerned about this? On those three levels, yes. We should be concerned about health. If you are someone at risk or a compromised immune system, you should be concerned. If you have people in your life that you care about that do have compromised immune systems and everything like that, you should be concerned. If they're in a nursing home or assisted living or something like that, realize that if you're in the state of New York, the governors there seem to think it's fine to shove sick people into these enclosed spaces and then lock everybody in. They've done it before. So carefully consider where you have your loved ones. And make decisions now where you would want them to ride out a potential major spreading event. Also, this is the type of situation where masks actually will be effective. Because it is droplet-based and not airborne, masks actually will be effective. So, do you have masks? And I'm not talking about the full giant gas masks. Those are useful. You can use them, but you probably should have some of the more simple masks out there. Always make sure you have eye protection as well, because if you have a mask on and no eye protection, you're just virtue signaling. Okay, so that's something to think about. Also, be washing your hands and all that kind of stuff like that. This is not probably in your neighborhood just yet, but if this does go into your neighborhood, are you going to want to sanitize your hands? Are you going to want to wash your hands? Are you going to want to cover your face and stuff like that when you go out in order to make sure you don't bring it home with you? That's something to think about. 2, the tyranny side of things. When this thing goes bigger, are we going to see a major reaction by governments out there that are going to lock people down, shut down factories, shut down stores, shut down all the small stores and keep the big stores open again? Tyranny could rear its ugly head, and that's going to be a problem again for a lot of people who are going to be like, never again. I understand what you're saying, and I'm just telling you that this may be coming our way. And finally, the food impacts, the production impacts, the supply chain of those bad rules and bad implementation, or maybe they are necessary. I don't know. I can't make a decision based on scenarios that I'm not part of yet. But this impacted supply chains pretty dramatically before. Could they impact supply chains dramatically now? Whether you need to get stocked up on toilet paper or ramen noodles or whatever, you might want to start thinking along those lines now and getting stocked up. We've been saying get stocked up, get stocked up, get stocked up. So we're not changing our tune here. We keep dropping as deals as I find them out there on the community tab on this webpage. Sometimes 2 a day, and I understand I drop them, and sometimes they get either sold out or they expire relatively quickly. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get you the good deals, but the good deals are sometimes a bargain bin, right? So we'll keep you updated on stuff that you can do, and I'll keep my eye on what's going on with the bird flu. I'll keep my eye on what's going on with the COVID spikes happening right now, and I will also definitely keep a close eye on what's going on with the Mpox and keep you updated on those things as they may impact you. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.